Hello everyone, welcome back to News of Asha. Today is 7th of August 2023. Let's see what's happening in the world today. Donald Trump to seek new judge in election conspiracy trial. Washington, former US President Donald Trump said on Sunday, August 6, he will petition to have a different judge oversee his historic criminal trial and for the case to be moved out of Washington. We will be immediately asking for a recusal of this judge on very powerful grounds, and likewise for venue change, out of Washington, a majority black city that leans heavily Democratic, Trump continued. Chutkan, 61, is one of dozen judges on the Washington Federal District Court bench. Her nomination to her post in 2014 was approved anonymously by the Senate. She has legal history with Trump, having ruled against him in November 2021 case in which she notably declared that the presidents are not kings. And she has handed down lengthy sentences to Trump supporters who stormed the US Capitol on January 6 of that year. On Saturday, she denied their motion to extend the deadline for responding to the US government's protective order, request that could limit what Trump and his lawyers can share publicly about his case. Team Trump wanted to push the deadline to Thursday, but the judge said they must abide by the current deadline of 5 p.m. Monday, despite the fact that Trump's legal team has mentioned that the prosecutors had 3 years to file their case and they have been requesting more time to have a legal recourse in order to respond to the charges against Trump. If Trump manages to actually have this judge recuse herself, he might actually get a much more fair trial. 4 in 5 Germans unhappy with federal government that prioritizes refugees and the rich. A major political backlash against the traditional mainstream parties is brewing in Germany after recent polling showed that 4 in 5 Germans are dissatisfied with the government, and a majority of respondents believe the interests of ordinary people are ignored in favor of refugees and the rich. A total of 41% are dissatisfied with Chancellor Olaf Scholz's administration, while 37% are very dissatisfied. In contrast, just 20% of respondents are somewhat satisfied with the government and just 1% are very satisfied. That's close to 80% of people who are unhappy with the current Chancellor. Unsurprisingly, supporters of the oppositions, CDU and CSU, and the right-wing Alternative for Germany, AfD, are the least supportive of the current administration, with 85% and 95% against, respectively. However, votes of the Liberal Free Democratic Party, FDP, are also overwhelmingly unhappy with the federal government, despite their party being a member of the coalition. Just 17% support the current government. The political landscape is ripe for an insurgent populist party to take advantage of the national mood, which is one of disillusionment, and the right-wing Alternative of the Germany has picked up the mantle in that regard and is surging in polls across the country. We might actually see a major shift in the German politics very soon, in probably their next elections. Pakistan passenger train derails, killing 30. At least 30 people have been killed and 100 injured when a train derailed in southern Pakistan, a police spokesman has confirmed. Several carriages of the Hazara Express overturned near Sahara railway station in Nawab Shah, about 275 kilometers from the largest city in Karachi. Railway Minister Saad Rafiq said initial investigation showed the train was travelling at normal speed and they were trying to establish what led to the derailment. It could be a result of mechanical fault or sabotage, he added. Authorities have dismissed reports the tracks was flooded. In 2021, 2 trains travelling in the Sindh province collided, killing at least 40 people and injuring dozens. Between 2013 and 2019, 150 people died in such incidents, according to local media reports. Pakistan really needs to fix their railway systems because this doesn't seem to be a new problem but a common problem that's been plaguing the country for years. 14 dead in floods in northeastern China. Beijing. 14 people were reported to have died over the weekend in the Chinese city of Shulan due to flooding caused by Typhoon Doksuri. Northeastern China, Beijing and Hebei province have seen heavy rainfall and floods since the typhoon made landfall in southern Fujian province 2 weeks ago. Water levels in the city have receded to safe levels and emergency response efforts have been mobilized to relocate residents and repair infrastructure. Power had been restored to 14,300 homes, state media reports. Power has also been restored to many flood-hit areas of Beijing and Hebei province. Efforts to resume power in northeastern province Jilin, Heilongjiang, and Liaoning were ongoing, state broadcaster CCTV added. The floods and the typhoons that's hitting China is a really sad event that hopefully will be resolved soon. Many are blaming that this is due to climate change. Some are saying due to El Nino. Let's just hope that most people can get to safety. This is a very sad event that is taking place right now. Is there a sinister side to the rise of female robots? When we give AI a humanoid form, we typically choose the robot to have a feminine characteristics. Are we playing on stereotypes? It was this public image problem that the United Nations was recently trying to address at its AI for Good conference in Geneva. The event in July was intended to promote AI to help solve global problems, and it was described as the largest ever gathering of humanoid robots. There was Ida, Grace, as well as Sophia, Nadine, and Mika. There were even rockstar robots, Desdemona. All of these robots have one thing in common: they are all female by design. So why is it that creators typically choose to give their robots feminine characters? There could be many reasons why we give our robots feminine characteristics, but it's usually up to the designer and the person who makes the robots to decide. Other than this robot modeled on an individual, one particular reason is often suggested for choosing a female robot: we have an innate preference for women voices. This is probably true because everybody has a mother. Everybody is raised by mother. Whether you're male or female, you are much closer to your mother than you to your father. This could be one of the simple explanations to why many of us, male or female, enjoy and prefer female voices. Women like female voices far more than they admit, and men say they greatly prefer a female voice on questionnaires. McDormand believes our own expectations may play a bigger part in the decision making than many designers are prepared to admit. In terms of quality of service or customer service roles, I think that they may be more associated with women than with men. McDormand agrees that heterosexual male designers, and it is a very male-dominated industry, are choosing to make their creations females because of their interest in the opposite sex. There's definitely a sexualization going on. The more realistic the robot and the more realistic the voice, the greater the tendency to sexualize it. If it's something very realistic, there's a tendency to see it or treat it as if it were human. And this is probably because we are humans. There's a concern generally with AI, especially when it's related to sex. Human relationships are difficult. There's a risk involved with any kind of intimacy, and AI is more compliant. Being more compliant is part of the reasons why we find it more comfortable to speak to chatbots or even to AIs as opposed to speaking to other humans. This might also be due to the fact that humans tend to judge, but AIs don't judge. And as we are talking to another human, we may feel as though we are being judged, and humans don't like being judged. Therefore, when we speak to an AI, we feel more comfortable and more open when speaking to them. China's exports likely contracted further in July. Imports downturn seen slowing, Reuters poll. Beijing, August 7th. China's exports likely contracted further in July as manufacturers in the world's second largest economy struggled for buyers in markets grappling with high inflation and rising interest rates, a Reuters poll showed on Monday. Chinese factory activity fell for a fourth straight month in July, threatening growth prospects for the third quarter and increasing pressures on officials to deliver promised policy measures to boost domestic demand, with the service and construction sectors teetering on the brink of contraction. South Korean exports to China, a leading indicator for imports to Asian giant, dropped 25.1% in July from a year earlier, and the sharpest in 3 months. Looks like China doesn't seem to be doing very well after opening up their economy, and the data seems to show that their exports are declining drastically, and many companies are leaving China for other countries for cheaper manufacturing costs and wages, and also better political stability. Exclusive. Credit Suisse to cut 80% of Hong Kong investment bank jobs from this week. Source. Hong Kong, August 7. Around 80% of Hong Kong-based investment banking staff at Credit Suisse will be made redundant starting this week, two people with knowledge of the matter said, as part of the bank's integration with UBS Group. Only about 20 bankers will be spared the cuts that will impact Credit Suisse's 100-strong investment banking team in the territory, the people said, declining to be identified as discussions on the matter were private. UBS closed the Swiss government-backed deal to buy its troubled peer in June after a series of soured deals sparked an exodus of clients. It has since said it would reduce risk in Credit Suisse investment banking operations. UBS laid off employees from Credit Suisse Investment Bank in New York last week. Citing a source familiar with the situation, UBS has also decided to close Credit Suisse office in Houston, the source said. As part of the integration, most Credit Suisse investment banking team in Hong Kong will be able to keep just 1 or 2 staff, though certain sector coverage teams will be removed entirely, the people said. Those retained will most likely work on mergers and acquisitions. Looks like the banking sector is facing a crisis right now, and maybe the future is actually crypto. The 5 biggest things that confuse Americans about retirement. Americans think they'll need to save about 1.8 million for a comfortable retirement, according to a new survey. But for many of them, that's just a shot in the dark guess. That's a real problem because what Americans save is supposed to become a major source of income in retirement. And if they are clueless on the basics, many may undersave and face shortfalls in their old age. More than 4 in 10 workers, 41% poll, said they need help calculating how much money they need to save for retirement. In fact, a recent survey from Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies actually found that 45% of workers said they guessed the amount they needed to save for retirement. Second, what should I invest in? Sorting through the myriad options can be a stumper. 4 in 10 workers said they want help on how to invest their 401ks, while almost 3/4 said personalized investment advice for their 401ks would ease their fear on making the wrong choices, according to a Schwab poll. When should I retire? About 4 in 10 workers are flummoxed when it comes to figuring out what age they would be able to afford to retire. This calculation is tricky and riddled with variables from health problems, disability, or caregiving duties that can derail even the best retirement planning efforts. How do I create an income stream in retirement? Paying themselves in retirement is a conundrum lots of retirees face. After years of regular paychecks, it's disconcerting to not have funds automatically available in your checking account every 2 weeks. Not surprising then that more than a third of workers say they need help figuring out their income stream in retirement, according to a poll. How can I know what expenses will be in retirement? A sizable 34% of those polled by Schwab are throwing their hands in the air when they try to get a grip on what they might expect their expenses to be in retirement, and that's understandable. And if you were to take inflation into account, the problem is far more compounding simply because nobody knows how much your currency is going to devalue in the next years to come, therefore needing more and more currency in order to just survive. About 15% of the average retiree's annual expenses will be health-related per Fidelity. The after-tax cost for medical expenses throughout retirement for a single 65-year-old retiree is $157,000, according to Fidelity's 2023 retiree healthcare cost estimate, which tracks retiree healthcare expenses annually. This is another problem that most retirees face. Nobody knows whether they're going to fall sick or have any problems when they are much older, and this can severely, drastically affect how much money they would actually need for retirement. Coinbase reports significant drop in consumer trading volume, raising concerns for crypto industry. Coinbase has reported a significant drop in consumer trading volume, which has raised concerns for the crypto industry. On Thursday, the largest US-based cryptocurrency exchange released its second quarter earnings report, revealing that transaction volume for consumers and institutions has declined by 70% and 54% respectively compared to the same period last year. Coinbase attributed its decline to several factors, including the decrease in overall market capitalization for cryptocurrencies. Back in June, the SEC sued both Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, and Coinbase, the largest US-based cryptocurrency exchange. The commission had accused them of illegally offering unregistered securities to users. Despite their regulatory scrutiny, Coinbase has beat second quarter revenue expectations on higher interest income. With respect to litigation with the SEC, I want to be very clear. We do think we can win. We expect to win, said Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal in the post-earning calls. Coinbase seems to be doing well despite decrease in the activity on their platform. That seems to bode well for the crypto industry in the overall case. Controversy as MakerDAO's Spark protocol blocks users with VPNs. Users attempting to access the Spark protocol with a virtual private network will not be able to, sparking criticism from supporters of privacy. MakerDAO, one of the early pioneers of decentralized finance, has sparked criticism over its decision to block VPN users from accessing its recently launched lending platform Spark protocol. At the time of writing, VPN users that attempt to access the Spark protocol website will be met with an error. Accessing this website via VPN is not allowed. The measure appears to be linked to Maker's attempt to restrict United States users from accessing the crypto lending platform. Discussed in May 9 update to Spark's protocol terms of service warns against the use of VPNs to circumvent the block. In August 6th tweet, DeFi analyst Chris Black was among those saying he was disgusted with the decision, highlighting it effectively acts as a blanket ban on VPNs across the globe, not just in the US. It's one thing to block US residents. It's a whole other thing to block anyone in the entire world who is using VPNs for privacy, said Black, adding it's an actual war on privacy. The root of the problem here is that developers are putting profit over principle. They're putting their bank's account balance ahead of the privacy and your rights. One need not worry about this simply because the decentralized space is decentralized, and if MakerDAOs decides to do something like this, a new decentralized platform will take up their mantle and allow everyone to join their protocol. Therefore, Spark's protocol should be worried due to the fact that they are now not just alienating their US customers but also alienating many people around the world who use crypto for the main purpose of privacy and keeping their finances out of government hands. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Please like, share and subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you again tomorrow.